Mare of Easttown may be the most pleasant surprise of 2021 for me personally so far. Not that I didn't expect to like it. I did. I saw the trailer. I wasn't wowed by it, but I thought, that looks like it has promise. But this is a rare thing for me. I did not expect to be held in its grip from the opening scene, and I was. And I'm super excited to see where the rest of the season goes. Drew here, by the way. I feel that it's a rare show that immediately lets you feel its pulse, and I really just got the sense of what this show was about and the sense of the character that Kate Winslet is playing very, very quickly, and I was immediately just captured and caught up in the sweep of the thing. Now, this show isn't going to be for everyone. The basic premise is that Mare is this local police detective, and at a long time in the past, she gave the town this source of hope and pride when she hit this jump shot during a crucial point in a basketball game. And that's basically been the height of her life, but the whole town is kind of holding that moment over her as the moment that defines her. And how can anyone live up to that? But to a certain extent, that's just something that she kind of pushes to the side. And what I really enjoy about this character is she's just weary. You see it in every little action she does. It comes out in almost every scene that she just doesn't have time for any of it. She's so busy with the demands of her job and with holding her family together. She's taking care of a grandchild, and her mother lives with her, and she has a weird co-parenting arrangement with her ex-husband. And all this is just so much that she just doesn't have time for anything but those things. There's this opening scene that I was talking about where she's been called to this elderly woman's house because her granddaughter thought she saw someone spying on her while she was taking a shower. And while she's there, she kind of basically tells the woman not to bother her, but she kind of shows enough concern that you can tell that Mare genuinely cares for these people. But then they stop her as she's trying to leave. The husband does and says, "Oh, there's this article about that shot you made in this newspaper. Hold on, let me go find it." And they go upstairs looking for it and say, "Stay right there." And she walks out. And to me, that scene was really, really, telling about Mare and how she handles people. The fact that she walks out at the end was really, really indicative, I thought, of the fact that she just doesn't have time. She's always in a hurry. She doesn't have the energy to devote to all this stuff. But she's actually a fairly competent individual, someone who takes a good deal of pride in what she does. And she doesn't like the fact that there's someone in this town whose daughter disappeared over a year in the past, and that this person is complaining that nothing has been really accomplished in that investigation. And she takes this kind of personally. And that's, a sign, of course, that this character cares about what she does. Kate Winslet, obviously returning to HBO, where the last time she did a miniseries for them, she got an Emmy and a Golden Globe for her efforts. So she kind of hoped that they would be able to recapture that kind of magic, but I really didn't expect them to. But honestly, I think that this is just as good as that excellent miniseries was, in that it's a very, very different role for her, but I think that she really captures the weariness of the character and also just the competence and the bitterness that the character feels. I thought that her scenes where she was playing off the local priest and their rejoinders about religion were very, very charming and just felt true to life. And that's the best thing about this show, I think, is that it just has this really strong sense of place and character. It's written by Brad Ingelsby, and similar to that, this is, ostensibly a procedural that's, showing the case that Mare is about to pursue, which, not to get into too many spoilers, but is a murder case, which takes place over the course of the episode. And what I think works so well is that Brad Ingelsby, he wrote The Way Back, which starred Ben Affleck, and similar to that, where that was ostensibly a sports story, he manages to imbue this story with so much life, with so much detail, with so much character, that you feel just the place that you're in and the culture and what the people hope for, and just you feel so much of their lives that it becomes so much more than just a simple procedural, even though the procedural aspects are compelling when they do enter the story. And I feel that he's a good example of writing what you know and how that can be a good thing, because he actually grew up in this town of Easttown. It's a suburb of Philadelphia. And it's interesting because I've always thought that Kate Winslet's American accent was pretty good, but I always felt like I could kind of see the glimmers of her English accent underneath. And here, I feel like she's covering up her British accent completely. I can't speak to whether or not she's nailing the Philadelphia accent, but she's definitely doing a great American accent. And I think this could be one of the best performances of her career. I'm not sure if a lot of people are going to see this show. As I said, it might not be for everyone. Some people might prefer a more thriller-focused procedural type story, or one that's more focused on the case and less on the lifestyle of the town and how the crime affects the town. But to me, this is darn near perfect in the way that it delivers on those aspects and on the town aspects. I feel like this is everything that I look for in a series, and nobody does it better than HBO, honestly. The production values are excellent, but you feel definitely the understanding that Ingelsby has of this town and of these residents in the script. There were myriad examples throughout this pilot episode, but there was this scene where there were these teenagers at a party and they were talking, and it struck me as I was watching that very, very rarely do I hear teenagers having a conversation in a TV series and sit there and think, wow, that feels like a real conversation that teenagers would have. Too often, I feel like writers turn teenagers into miniature adults, but these teenagers actually felt like teenagers, and I feel like that care was taken with all of the dialogue and with all of the characters in this show. I can't, without getting into spoilers, I feel like there's a lot of interesting characters in this premiere, but until we kind of see how they fit into the broader canvas of the investigation, it's difficult to say, too much about these characters. I think that Guy Pearce is intriguing as this author that Mare considers having a brief fling with, but backs out when she realizes it might be too much work and she's already so harried. Obviously, Guy Pearce was also in Mildred Pierce with her, so this reunion, I have to imagine, was somewhat intentional. Cailee Spainey is really good as this young woman who has a child with a man who doesn't really want to take any responsibility and is dating someone else. And just this character, how she fits into the narrative, I think a lot of people will be able to predict it, because it doesn't really make sense why they're spending so much time in this premiere with this character who doesn't really relate to Mare seemingly in any way, when every other character that this episode spends time with has some relation to her story. I feel like people will figure out why she's being included, but I don't want to spoil anything, but think about it, you'll guess. But I feel like the way that they handled her story, just showing the quiet despair that she's probably dealing with, and also just showing how she's not really getting support from anyone in her life, including her father, who seems to be more intent on getting credit for all the help he's giving her than on actually pitching in to help take care of his grandchild. I feel like this plot line is handled with deliberate, just matter-of-factness, but it also has sympathy even for the people that are oppressing her in this situation, and it's just all really well done. I feel like this could be a depressing show for some people because it's not a very flattering picture of this town. It certainly doesn't make you want to pack up your bags and go live there. But I think that people don't necessarily have to be likable in stories for them to be interesting. And this episode just held my attention from beginning to end. And the nice thing with that is, a lot of times in these stories, we saw this with The Undoing, which was a show that I very much enjoyed, but that was kind of disappointing when it was all said and done, because the conclusion didn't really live up to the build up to it, that we expected a better twist at the end than we actually got. But with a show like this, I feel like because it's all about the textures and the livelihood of these characters, I feel like when it's all said and done, the resolution will matter less. It might have an excellent resolution, I don't really know. But again, I think that's less important here because the characters are so darn compelling and the world is so well developed and realized. So those are my thoughts. I'm really excited about this show, planning to review it on a weekly basis, but that will only be if there's enough interest, and obviously Sunday nights are already pretty busy, so no promises, but I'm interested in doing that. But let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know if you want to see more reviews of this show. And if you're interested in seeing my upcoming reviews of this and other shows, please consider subscribing. As always, thanks for watching.